Start stream. We'll just do this. Stream seems to be going. I look all sweaty because I am all sweaty. Seems to be live. I guess we're good to go. Marantz is on. All right.
No, good job.
It's dude. Every time we come back from a con, we haven't done a show in a while.
You forget how to do the show.
Yeah, I gotta remember. I gotta make. At least
Push
I have
the
a good,
button, talk, and let me go home. That's how you do shit.
At least I have a real computer now. Like, remember the
Step
old
1,
computer?
push button. Step 2, talk. Step 3, Scott goes home.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Next week, one of these days, we should. Step 3 is Scott and Rem and Emily go to Hibino. Not tonight, because I'm too sweaty for that. But like, we should do that because I'm feeling Hibino real big. All right, guess we're good to go.
Why don't we just do that
Tonight?
every night?
Yeah. Oh, and there's people watching. Okay.
Sad people.
And it's Wednesday, July 12th, 2017. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights Tonight. We're back, and we're talking about one of the most delightful anime we've seen in a while, Eccentric Family, Season 1.
Too many words. You could have just said Eccentric Family. Now no one needs to listen.
It could be complicated, though, because Season 2 is on, like, right now, and I'm actually halfway through it. It's real good. And actually, I was talking to Yuko and Judith, both at Kineticon, about Season 2. They both said it is way more serious and probably better than Season 1. And I'm really curious to see all that now, because I really liked Season 1 a lot.
Why don't you save your talk about the main bit for the main bit?
All right. So you got any news about anime or animation, comics?
You're not even going to talk about the Kineticon that we just went to?
That was gonna be. I was gonna make that my news.
Oh, it's in your news is the opening bit?
Yeah. Oh yeah, opening bit. So I just biked home from work and it's like 88 degrees and I'm sweaty because it's super hot out and I biked real fast.
I think it's kind of a little bit cold out right now.
It actually got a lot chillier while I was biking home.
It could be warmer.
Yeah. Over lunch it was like way hotter and then it cooled off. But yeah, we were at Kineticon, and I was in London like the week before that, and I was in Hong Kong not too long before that. So we've had a lot of weeks where we didn't do shows, and it's real hard to do a show the day after we come back from a convention. That's why Monday didn't happen, because I asked Scott, like, hey.
Also, I came home on, I basically went to work straight from Connecticut Monday morning, so I was like, I need to go home. I can't spend another hour not at home.
And frankly,
I gotta go take care of my shit.
While I could have said something like, oh, that means we won't do a show, what I thought in my brain was, yes, fuck the show.
I have no
I need to
ideas
sleep.
for a Monday show anyway.
I do, actually.
Oh,
I want to
really?
do a show on AV tech in like panel rooms and halls and things like that.
Have we done that?
I don't think I did a tentative search.
Video output goes to the video display thing. Make sure the input is selected. Audio output goes to the sound system. Go.
There's a few more components.
You got
to
some
that.
microphones. Mix them nicely.
There are a few more components to that.
Anyway.
Also, I noticed some things people are having problems with, and actually,
They didn't have the right adapter. Also, we told everyone VGA, but all the rooms had HDMI.
They also had VGA, but people kept like kicking it under the table.
Oh, okay.
Well, a lot of the rooms, the HDMI cables just stopped working, and it looked like it's because they were just literally too long. There were all those kinds of issues.
I thought it was because people had adapters that like weren't any good.
Yeah, it wasn't just the adapters. There's more to it than that.
Anyway. So here's the anime news. Ready? Crunchyroll, the place where I watch 90% of the anime that I watch that's new, and one of the only, I guess, the video streaming service that I cancel the least. I've said this before, but just in case anyone doesn't know, my strategy is because you got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Crunchyroll, you got all these freaking things out there, and if you pay for Netflix monthly, it's like, okay, there's going to be months where that's worth your money. There's going to be months where you don't watch Netflix at all, and what the hell did you just spend money on, right? I feel the same way about Adobe. There's like months where I'll make 3 videos and months where I won't even edit a photo, and it's just like, I paid $50 for nothing that month. Anyway, but you have to do that yearly. You can't do it month to month with the Adobe thing easily.
Which is fine, because I'm using it literally all the time, so I don't care.
It just feels comforting to know that at any time I have the full power to edit any sort of digital content.
Yep. And that comes in
Period.
handy when I want to make a sudden meme out of nowhere and I need to like bust open
Just like any
Illustrator.
kind of digital content, video, audio, image, website, anything. I have full power at a whim, so that's worth paying for. But anyway, video streaming services, if you pay for Crunchyroll some month and you don't watch a single goddamn anime episode, you just threw money in the fire, like, right? But Crunchyroll I use more than, I cancel Netflix when I got no Netflix shows. I cancel Hulu when I got no Hulu shows. I pretty much only subscribe to Hulu during South Park season. But Crunchyroll almost always on. So Crunchyroll is going down the path of the Netflixes and the Hulus and the Amazon Primes, and that they've realized, hey, just showing shows that someone else makes is pretty good, but to really get people to subscribe and pay, we got to make content that only we have. If we stream something that someone else has, it's like, all right. If we stream something that's like a temporary exclusive license, it's like people can wait it out and watch it somewhere else. But the reason all these people are making their own content is because that way it's like, if we make something good, you gotta pay us to see it. Otherwise, the end. There's nowhere else you will ever see it ever.
Yep, and also, as soon as you own it, you can do the kinds of things that a lot of licensors will not let you do.
Sell merch.
Look at Netflix with their offline mode.
Mm-hmm.
You'll notice that most stuff does not work in offline mode, and the things that do work are the things that Netflix paid for themselves.
Right, so anyway, Crunchyroll has partnered, because obviously Crunchyroll doesn't have anyone who can animate on their staff, right? But they partnered with NBC Universal Entertainment Japan, which I didn't even know existed, they have previously produced animes such as Fruit of Grisaya, Starmie 2, I guess they didn't make Starmie 1, I don't know. I don't know what Starmie is, it's a Pokemon, right? Drifters, is that related to Tokyo Drifters or is it different? Berserk, that's an anime I know, that's a real anime. The first real anime. Seven Mortal Sins, don't know what the hell that is, but I guess they can produce anime. They produce Berserk, right? Okay. So Crunchyroll's partnering with them, and they're going to produce anime that are yet unnamed, but will have international appeal, of course. And then they're going to put them on Crunchyroll only, and we're going to watch them.
It'll be interesting because this is kind of a big deal, but a big part of why Netflix is able to have so much success with this is their unlimited bucket of money.
Mm-hmm.
And
NBC Universal Japan, I'm sure, has money. Also, anime that you make in Japan and pay, with slave animation labor is inexpensive.
That is actually probably the biggest factor, that if you just take the existing studio system in Japan and just pump money into it and commission anime, I feel like it'll be real cheap to make a lot of content. But at the same time, that does not actually help the people in Japan.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I hope that, the one thing I hope that comes from this actually is that they make some original anime and not anime based on manga or sequels to existing, right?
I think that there's a real bigger issue here. Well, not an issue, but the idea of what is anime versus what is just animation is going to get increasingly blurred.
Well, I mean, people are arguing about this Castlevania show on Netflix, which I watched.
I don't think anyone from Japan was super involved in
No, it's not Japanese at all. It's in English is the primary language. That's right. It's not dubbed. I mean, it's dubbed in the way that dubbing means voiceover, but
ADR style.
The original language of voice acting is English, right? It is made by an American studio and not Japanese people really, right? But it has a visual style that is not often seen in things that are produced. Obviously anime comes in many different styles, and animation comes in many different styles regardless of nation of origin. But the style of this is more like a lot of generic, not interesting anime styles, and is not very much looking like a American style animation.
Well, I think what it'll be is that there was the anime. Even though, like we said, there isn't really a particular style, the kinds of shows and the things that came out of anime are going to start increasingly being adopted by just animation globally. And the idea that something is anime because it came from Japan will be a lot like a particular film movement, like Weimar films from a certain era.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the Castlevania show once Rim watches it, because only 4 episodes. They're like 20 minutes each.
The next Wednesday Geek Nights, we will review it.
But the only thing I want to say about it now is that when I was watching it, it's like it was really the one thing that was really disappointing. The most disappointing about it was that it felt like it should have been. It was like leaning towards a Yoshitaka Amano style, but was so far away from it, and obviously he had no involvement with it whatsoever, that I just really wanted him. They just should have had him do it.
Yeah, I really just want an animated feature, a new one that is just his crap.
Yep. It's like if they would have just hired a mono to do the arts on that show, it would have been like the greatest thing ever. Anyway.
So yeah, the Castlevania thing is kind of a
Missed
big
opportunity.
deal too. And I'm not going to talk about it too much because, like we said, we're going to literally review it on the next Wednesday show of Geek Nights. So this past weekend, as you know, we were at Kineticon, which is not an anime convention. It is just a convention.
It's a nerdy convention of all nerdy things: comics, tabletop games, video games, animes. Everything nerdy is there.
And there's very little like it out there because most comic
there's a lot of everything cons. A lot of them don't have the balls to call themselves everything cons.
Well, a lot of everything cons too are super tiny,
and a lot of them
ain't that small.
And they are not run as well. It might be one of the better run everything cons that we know of.
Yep, but we were there. If you don't know, we literally run the entire panels department there. And as always, because we scheduled a whole bunch of panels and ran them and had the counts and everything, I noticed a lot of interesting trends about what is popular and not now. And one thing I can say pretty definitively, based on 3 years of trend data, the pony fandom has all but vanished from the convention scene.
I mean, I saw plenty of pony action.
Pony action in that people will wear merchandise about My Little Pony. There'll be tons of art in the Artist Alley, but there is almost no interest in attending pony-related panels.
No.
And there's almost no one submitting pony-related panels.
Nope.
Meanwhile, you know what came back in a big way? I got a shit ton of Hetalia Ask a Nation submissions.
Really?
Those were gone for years.
I only saw one Hetalia with my eyeballs, but I saw actually maybe 2 scoops full of Homestucks.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't like the Homestucks back in the heyday, but there were 2 nice scoops worth of Homestucks that I saw.
But in terms of submissions, Hetalia's submissions were up in a big way.
I think
submissions were way down.
I think the reason for that is I don't think it has anything to do with the popularity of Hetalia itself. I think it's that the Hetalia community is a community that knows how to submit panels.
I think that is
more
true.
so than other communities, regardless of size.
I think cosplay-related panels, I got more submissions for that than literally anything.
No, that's the biggest thing at the con.
But most of them still are, I am a cosplayer, and they don't really have anything going on in the panel. So the ones I scheduled were ones like, I am a pro, and here's a technique. Or, here is some, real information on plus-size cosplay and, how to do it right and stuff like that. Real technical panels. I'm not interested in how I make dozens of dollars with my YouTube channel about cosplay photography.
Nope.
But yeah, we ran our panels, and what was really interesting is that Kineticon is one of those cons, like ZenkaiCon, or, all the cons that are in a place where the people who live in that place don't tend to travel to other conventions that much.
Nope.
So you'd have people for whom that convention is their first and or only convention. Meaning we, being lazy, take all the content we've run at 5 PAXs and just recycle it at ZenkaiCon and Kineticon. But when I ran foreign anime openers, which is something I've run years and years and years everywhere I've ran, I pretty much filled the room, and I think 90% of the people in the room never heard of me, never been to a Kineticon before, didn't have any idea about any of this stuff. And for a lot of them, I'd say half the room, it was their first convention ever. So all I want to say is that German Naruto shtick, I had to pause and rewind. People were laughing so hard. They could not believe it.
They had not seen a German Naruto before?
They had never... The foreign anime openers concept was already pretty crazy. The Italian pony thing kind of lost them. I had to back up and replay parts of that because they were making so much noise. But, yeah. The other trends I see is that there are fewer and fewer anime-related panels being submitted. And more importantly, almost all the anime panels are people who have submitted them in the past, or who I see at other cons like Anime Boston or Charles Dunbar. And no one seems to have any interest in talking about most recent anime. It's all panels about old anime submitted by people who are around our age.
Maybe I'll do a little Eccentric Family panel.
Huh?
Take that.
I think I only have 35 minutes of content, though.
Well, now if we get a second season in there.
Oh, yeah. Talk about both seasons. Do some research about, so here's how hell is portrayed in this painting and how that relates to... That could be a fun panel, actually. I'm suddenly feeling AB. Maybe we should make a new set of anime panels instead of recycling over and over again.
I could do your pedal panel.
Oh, yeah.
I could do a big your pedal panel.
The problem is the anime I have the most to say about are still the old-ass anime like Captain Tyler.
I'm mostly talking about biking.
Yeah.
Door pedal, real or not real?
All right, I'll just bust right into the main bits and everything. That was like 15 minutes, though. People said you were really quiet in the stream, so I futzed with it.
Hulu shows. I pretty much only subscribe to Hulu during South Park. That
season.
sounds fine.
Yeah.
That sounds fine to me.
I think it's good now. 2017.
Whatever.
Like
Japan, I'm sure has money. Also,
yeah, that all seems fine. All right, I'll just get to the. Ooh, I left that out. Ooh. All right, let's get to the things of the day. But anyway, things of the day. So remember that channel that we're a fan of? It's the woman who makes helper robots that are just awful. Like they'll chop lettuce really dangerously with knives flying around.
Oh, I saw one just the other day. I don't know if it was this channel, but it probably is. It was chopping a loaf of bread from the top really poorly.
So I just found this kid's YouTube channel like randomly, and this clearly looks like a dorm room in a college campus. And basically, he did a project where he used facial recognition technology to make a tiny robot. And what that robot will do is track any human face it sees and try to shine the laser pen in their eye.
Mm-hmm.
And the video is pretty good because he talks a lot about like why he made it and how it seems like it's going to be a really good thing. But then he's, it's obviously like a school project and he's showing off the code. And then he goes to demonstrate it. And literally he turns it on and he starts to talk and it gets him right in the eye. And he's like, ah, shit. And then he does the rest of the video trying to like avoid it hitting him in the eye while he talks about how it works. And it's way funnier than it has any right to be. There, I got him again.
Just close your eyes, bro.
Yeah, if you get hit in the eye with a regular laser pen and you close your eye, you can still see it.
Mm-hmm.
And the related videos to this seem to mostly be people making dangerous weapons with laser pens or diodes. But this video is actually really funny, and I laughed out loud. So, So what do you got?
Oh, so there's this illustrator based out of Tokyo that I follow on Twitter because their arts are way awesome, and they're called Utomaru. I think that Twitter account itself was the thing of the day way back. But anyway, Utomaru has been doing the album art for this idol person named Ore-sama for, I think, like a couple albums, right? And Ore-sama, I guess, is just some Gennaro J-pop idol person or whatever, right? But anyway, so Ore-sama now has like is like got a major label now, and they just had a new music video that came out just now, and it's generic J-pop. It sounds like an anime opener.
Yeah, my brain is literally, I'm listening to it with Scott before the show, and I'm like, oh, this sounds exactly like, and my brain is just
every
like
anime opener ever.
Not all of them, all the ones from a certain era.
Sure.
Because, like, the late 90s anime openers have a particular sound to them as opposed to, like, the mid-2000s anime openers.
Right, but anyway, we don't care about this song. What we care about is that Utomaru's amazing illustrations are all over this music video. So just like watch the music video.
Oh yeah, you've retweeted this kind of art before.
Yeah, just watch the video and you can mute it if you want, and just you can see like so much illustrations were done and put all over this music video. I guess the song is called.
Oh, that bat back there. It's a good bat.
Yeah, it looks like a Drakey from Dragon Quest.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, the song is called Trip Trip Trip, whatever. And it has like this RPG theme kind of going on while also has like a vacation traveling theme combined.
That could be a good manga.
It's visually stimulating.
Like that manga you're reading at the beach that I got to borrow and read about the people in the dungeon.
Delicious in Dungeon?
Yup.
It's all right.
So, in the meta moment, the book club book is Frank Herbert's Dune. And we both read it. And I got a lot to say. So, the next Thursday episode of Geek Nights will
Which is a week from tomorrow.
Yes. We're going to
talk... Or a week from today for most of you.
The GeekNights Book Club is going to talk about Dune, which I had never read all the way through in my life until recently. And to give you a preview of what we're going to say about that book, it is way simpler and more straightforward than the internet and people I have talked to over the years that led me to believe.
I'm going to give you another spoiler. Nowhere in the book do the words, quote, "the spice must flow" appear.
Yeah, Was that in the movie or in the later
It might be in the
books?
movie. I'm going to have to go watch the movie, I think, so I can add it into the conversation.
Well, I went and read synopses.
Even though I've heard bad things about the movie, and I believe them, but I got to watch it anyway.
Yeah, I could watch it now. What I really want to do is play the Dune board game again.
I have played the Dune.
I have played it, but I have not played it since I read Dune.
Sure.
Never before has an intellectual property been applied to a game so literally and yet still been an actually good game.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of amazing, and I'm actually like legit shocked by that. And I feel like we could do a whole episode on that concept on a Tuesday because it's nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you could do the same thing with Game of Thrones, but I don't know if anyone will because the Game of Thrones game is not that. I've played it. Of course, wasn't there a second edition that we didn't play that fixed some issues? I don't remember. That was at our recess back when we used to go to those. In the meta moment, other than the book club, we got to pick the next book club book, which we'll do at some point. I think Scott said he has an idea, so maybe we'll just go with that.
I do have an idea.
If you listen to this because you found us at Kineticon and you're somehow still listening all the way to this point,
Whoa.
one,
What's wrong with you?
I'm amazed that you figured out we do a podcast because a lot of our fans seem to not realize that. Like we have fans on YouTube who don't know about the podcast and vice versa.
Even though you're now putting the podcast on YouTube, it doesn't help.
That is starting to help a lot. I've actually seen an uptick because I've been watching the Libsyn because I'm trying to now that I'm paying for it directly, I'm trying to tune what we pay for and tune my bit rates and all that stuff. But anyway, I've seen an uptick and I think they're starting to help in that way. I've also noticed something interesting. The Thursday shows get the most live streams. The Wednesday shows get the least live streams.
Maybe it's because the day.
It might be. I don't know if it's the content or the day or what, but if you found us at Kineticon and you wanna know more about any of the panels we did, little fun fact: four of the panels we did at Kineticon are already on YouTube from other conventions, and if you watch them on YouTube, they're just better, more polished versions of what we half-assedly did at Kineticon. So that's the secret. And otherwise, you should follow all our stuff on the internet. Scott's YouTube channel has a lot of live streams. You were live streaming, us running the panels department at Kineticon, and they're pretty interesting videos. I watched the one.
How interesting are they?
I watched the one with you and Kate, and I watched the one of you walking around. They were entertaining. I was legit entertained.
All right.
I feel like we should do that more. I think we should live stream random crap from conventions we go to way more often. Because it totally works, and it's moderately entertaining.
Okay.
What else do we got? Nothing really. I guess the only important thing is, because a lot of you are emailing me about this or posting random comments on random videos on my channel about this. So one, now that Kineticon and all that travel is done, we're resuming all the projects that were on hold. So the convention we're trying to start, we're working on that now. The Utena Geek Nights Presents show, we're going to put an episode up real soon. We're going to produce it. I got my shit together. All those other, the game show, all that crap we were talking about, we have time to work on that now. The only thing that will get in our way between now and October is that if it's really nice outside, we're not doing shit.
And also, the PAX. The
PAX.
next convention is real PAX Labor Day weekend in Seattle.
I always forget until because I'm always focused on the next convention.
When summer ends, real PAX arrives.
I mean, we've gotten to the point in our lives, it's kind of fascinating. The conventions we go to no matter what now are MagFest, PAX West, PAX East, PAX South, PAX Australia, PAX Unplugged, PAX Dev. There's a pattern there. Kineticon, ZenkaiCon. And we've pretty much dropped almost everything else. We'll see. Maybe we'll go to Anime Boston now that I'm inspired to do some
We only
panels.
skipped Anime Boston one time.
Yeah, and I feel actually kind of refreshed by skipping it because this year was just a busy year that we might be able to bring an A game to the next Anime Boston because we're not missing good weather if we go to that. But PAX West is the PAX, and me and Emily are going to be in Seattle for 9 days.
It's a lot of days.
Yeah, it is.
I'm going to be there for less days.
Well, because you don't go to PAX Dev.
I'm going to arrive Thursday and leave Tuesday.
I'm going to arrive, I think, Sunday night or Monday, and then we're going to leave the following Tuesday. I think I'm going to fly Delta, though. I think it might be done with the JetBlue.
I already got JetBlue tickets.
So I want to say the majority of my flights to or from PAX for the past few years have been late. And
I don't think I've been on a single late flight.
Mine have been. And I was looking, because I fly a lot, and actually JetBlue is really like dropping in the on-time performance domestically, and their fleet is aging pretty badly. And the Delta tickets are actually cheaper, so we'll see. Thing is, if I do JetBlue, partly I got a ton of miles, so I gotta like blow them all and get free flights.
Yeah, I don't know how many True Blue points or whatever I have.
looked.
I've never used my points. I've only
Yeah,
accrued
me either.
them.
So I got a shit ton of points. You know what we could do though? If I don't use them on PAX, maybe we should just use them to go down to like Puerto Rico or something and have like.
Yes, let us go to a tropical place for no other reason than let's go to a tropical place.
Actually, because not the whole crew can do that, but maybe like you and Emily should just do that. Like take a long weekend and just like pop down there, use up all our miles. Let's do it. I'm feeling that.
That's my idea. You're stealing my idea. The idea that I keep saying and everyone else is meh.
Well, because not everyone has
every
the
time
freedom to
it's like, where do we go? I'm like, let's go to a place where the water is blue.
Why
blue
not
like
both?
the sky.
We could do both.
And everyone's like, man. And I'm like, what is wrong with you?
So part of why
let's go to a place where the water is so clear that you can see the fishies.
The thing about going to the Jersey Shore is that
the place where the water is black, that place.
But all our friends can go because there isn't the barriers to entry of taking a bunch of time off work and or flying and or
let's go to a place where the anime of our lives will become island episodes. Let us go to that.
Oh, the island episode.
Let us go to that place.
Actually, I'm looking for an excuse to go back to Costa Rica because I want to visit Emily's family down there. Because
what color of the water they got?
It's colorless because you can see all the way to the bottom even when you swim way out there. Yeah. And it's super. Except the only drawback is if those beaches, the sand was so hot that if you tried to walk across the beach without sandals, you would literally burn your feet to the point of blisters.
I mean, that happened even in Jersey.
Oh, yeah. I remember running and feeling really bad about myself at Sandy Hook last year in the last trip we did. Also, I think I got a minor sinus infection from the bacteria in the water on our last Sandy Hook, so yeah, maybe some clear water might be a good idea.
I didn't have a problem.
Yeah, I swam a lot more than you. I also got a bunch of water in my nose because I kept swimming underwater. But yeah, I'm feeling beaches. Maybe we should go to Sandy Hook this weekend. Every weekend, just keep going.
It's a lot of money to go there.
Yeah. I'm still looking at Airbnbs too. Maybe we can go down to like Jersey Shore, but further north and just rent a house and we don't have to deal with, restrictions or people.
Why don't we at least go to Virginia Beach, which is nicer.
Yeah, but it's way easier to just rent a car and just drive down the Garden State like an hour.
And go to a shitty beach.
Yes, they're not that bad. Water's good. Anyway, let's do the main bit. Let's see. I didn't even look up all the stuff. Eccentric Family is just on Crunchyroll. Shimogamo. All right. Yeah, seinen. I didn't actually look up like where it came from. I don't know about the person who wrote the manga, but they don't have a Wikipedia.
It's comedy drama novel published in 2007.
2013 to 2015. Oh, novels 2007, manga 2013.
The sequel to the novel is 2015, so I guess the anime based on the sequel, right?
Yep.
So
it works. It was on Tokyo MX. Nothing special there. Actually, let me really quick make sure the director, there's no one on it who didn't do anything like particularly noteworthy.
Did we do an episode on this before?
I don't think so. Pretty sure we didn't. The word eccentric did not show up in that search.
I could have swore we did an episode on this before.
I think we might have like really briefly mentioned like, hey, it looks pretty good. We also did review it on our Judge Anime by its cover. And it turns out our review was 100% accurate. The show is great. Oh, someone didn't like it. Someone down there. That jerk. All right, let's see. Director Masayuki Yoshihara.
A person.
Eccentric Family. In between, key animation on a bunch of stuff. Have they directed anything else?
Probably not.
Assistant director, episode director, animation director. A movie that I've never heard of. Whoa. Girl who dreams of being forced to eat her. Mari-chan is a very young girl who is having dreams of being forced to eat her least favorite foods, carrot, pepper, and milk.
Those are all good foods.
After an incident at her kindergarten where she forces herself to eat these vegetables and drink milk, she is visited by 3 magical creatures. This is a 1-episode movie. All right. I'm actually a little interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I don't think there's anything worthwhile for us to say about the provenance of this show. So you might recall we do our judge anime by its cover when we do go to Anime Boston, and stay tuned. We might just start doing that as a YouTube show because I think it's really good, and I also like doing it, and it's shockingly low effort because we're not even allowed to research the shows. But one of the shows we reviewed, based on one screenshot and a few sentences, was The Eccentric Family. And now we've both seen the entire first season. I've seen about half of the second
I could have
season.
swore I watched this a long time ago, but I'm rewatching it now. I just finished rewatching the first season anyway because season 2 just came out.
Season 2 is real good.
I haven't watched even any episodes of season 2 because just yesterday I finished rewatching season 1. So I've seen the entirety of season 1 2 times, once very, very recently, as in yesterday. So, and I could have swore we did an episode about this show after only watching a few episodes, but I guess you didn't find it. Doesn't matter.
The word eccentric doesn't even show up in the back-end search.
Yeah, and we definitely have not done an episode on it.
I'm pretty sure what happened is we might have
completed.
We might have mentioned it, like, because we both watched a couple episodes. I think we just mentioned it in, like, the early part of an episode, and that's probably it. So, we'll save spoilers to the end, and we'll warn you, so don't worry, because season 1 alone does not really deserve a, like, full final thoughts, because it's not like Trigun, where there's a lot to
There's
unpack.
not a lot to say, even though it's got a lot of eccentricities.
Yeah.
All right,
This is my favorite show of last season, like, hands down.
Sure, because One Punch Man came out before then.
Yes, it did. Do I like this more than One Punch Man? I feel like they're
no,
equal.
this isn't even a show of the last season. This is a show from years ago.
2015, yeah, you're right.
Season 1 is old.
Yeah. Season 2 is right now.
Yeah.
I think I like this, and here's the
Neither
way to put
season
it.
came out at the same time as One Punch Man.
I like this show and One Punch Man equally for very different reasons.
Nah, I like One Punch Man more.
I think I like them equally.
He who punches only once.
Yeah, but Benten-sama.
Yeah, whatever.
So the gist of this show is that it's set in modern-day Kyoto, and
it's based on a novel.
Yeah,
and
it's
then,
based on a novel
so
that
the
also
first,
had a manga.
So the first novel came out 2000-something.
2007?
And then that first season of the anime covers the first novel. But then another novel, a sequel novel, came out much more recently. So then once that novel came out, they went into production with another anime.
There's also a manga, which I haven't seen even one screenshot from.
Yeah, and this seems like it's the kind of thing that was like made out of like, just because and wouldn't be that popular, but apparently it was popular enough to like just make another anime. So I'm very happy that like people like this so much that they keep making more.
So the gist of the story is that in modern day Kyoto, the beasts and creatures and mythology of Japan is alive and well, and it just continues to coexist alongside humans, just like it did in ancient times.
Right. So there's the human society is perfectly normal, but there's also like tengus and tanukis and these sorts of, mystical things, and they're combined in the same place. And it's sort of hard to tell, right? It's like on the one hand, are these things, is it like, do the people see these tanukis and things?
They
or
definitely
not?
do occasionally, because one of a nice point of the show, like a plot point, is that one of the tanuki, him and his dad, one of their favorite things to do was he would shapeshift into a particular tram that used to run in Kyoto.
Yep.
And just careen down the streets, scaring the ever-living shit out of drunk people late at night.
Right. So it's weird because on the one hand, people can obviously see, human beings can obviously see and interact with the tengus and the tanukis and things like that.
Because sometimes the tengu and tanuki are fucking dangerous to those humans.
Sure. But at the same time, like when humans talk, it's like they don't seem to know that like tanukis transform and they think tanukis are just animals in the woods.
Which makes sense because, to a modern person, unless in a tanuki, but
it's
transformed
like
in
the
front of
humans
you.
are having a festival and there's like boats flying in the sky that are clearly visible, and they don't seem to be reacting or giving a shit.
But the show sort of sets up that like there's definitely this like liminal separation between the worlds, because a lot of times characters go to a place that's like it's not a physical place in the same sense as like the rest of the area that they're in. Like they'll enter basically some sort of like TARDIS-like space all the time.
But I'm just saying it's really an interesting way of avoiding those sorts of questions, like, about the boundaries between the worlds, by just sort of being like, meh. We'll just do whatever's convenient scene to scene.
It fits more with like
to not stir any pots.
It fits more with my my understanding of like Japanese sensibility toward mythology, in that these are things that sort of exist on the edges of your perception. Like you see something weird, maybe that was a tanuki, like you don't know. So it sort of fits into that. Like the humans who interact with these things, it is brief, transient interactions that startle or surprise them usually.
Right. So anyway, it's called Eccentric Family, and it's about this family of tanuki.
Yeah.
And they live in like a temple or whatever, and they have powers to transform because they're tanuki. They're in their little cute animal form, but they also can turn into many other forms.
The cute animal form is super cute.
And different tanukis have different amounts and varieties of transformation power, right? It's like the oldest brother can transform into a tiger and fucking bite the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Right?
But he's way high strung. The little kid,
the kid who's, I guess he's elementary school age. He isn't so good at transforming.
But
a lot
he's
of
good
time,
at electricity.
Yeah, he has electricity powers. He can recharge his phone just wherever he is.
In season 2, he keeps reading like books on Maxwell. Like he's gonna be dangerous someday, I think.
Sure. But anyway, you have this family, and the story is that their dad was like the best tanuki that ever was.
Into an entire fucking mountain
to fool some Tengu who are super powerful.
Yeah, because Tengu are like one step below gods in this world.
Right. So this guy was basically like the legendary god tanuki, and this is his wife and his 4 idiot sons.
And he's also an idiot.
Sure.
Tanuki are all idiots as far as we can tell.
Right, but this family especially inherited the idiot blood from their godlike tanuki father.
He split his idiot blood into 4 idiot types among his
4 children. So if you
children.
combine his 4 children, you get him basically, but you only have the 4 children left, and they all have different aspects of him. And the story mostly focuses on Yasaburo?
Yep.
Oh, it's hard to remember all their names because they're all wide Japanese names.
Yasaburo's the main kid, and what I like the most is that, and this sort of is a theme throughout the entire show, it is very rare to see non-human characters in fiction who legitimately are portrayed as having non-human sensibilities. Usually you say, oh, it's animal people, but it's just people. But like the way these characters interact with magic and death and the things around them is very clearly and very specifically non-human. Like, what happened, like, oh, yeah, Dad messed up, and the Friday Fellows just cooked him and ate him in a hot pot. And, like, Yasaburo is friends with one of the people who murdered his dad and ate him in a hot pot, because that's just a thing that happens sometimes. And then this is sort of exemplified in this character, because he's sort of like a laid-back, lazy, like, my only goal in life is to just get into trouble.
Have an interesting life.
Yep. But so he just will randomly be a girl for no reason, just because. Like, he doesn't really care. Like, gender doesn't really mean much to him. And
he's a tanuki.
Yeah. He'll transform into whatever. That's just what he can do.
But yeah, the thing that I like a lot about the show also is that, he's the main character, right? But usually in an anime, a stereotypical, generic, average anime, the main character will always be sort of the character that doesn't have any character. They'll be sort of just a generic...
Utaware Rumono is like the perfect archetype
The main character is a generic nobody, and all the other characters are interesting and quirky, and you care about them, but the main character is blessed. So Full Metal Alchemist, right? Edward Elric is kind of average adventure guy.
Yep. But then you got King Bradley, and you're like, what's his deal?
Right, but all the other characters are really cool. Or... what's another good example? Like almost any
Tenji Muyo is the most milquetoast, boring dude, and everyone around him is like a crazy, dangerous goddess.
Any mecha show, the main pilot of the mech is boring, generic person, and all the other mech pilots and villains are totally awesome, right? So in this show, however, there is no boring, generic character, right? Every character is wacky and crazy and interesting. So it's like you care about all of them, right? I care about this main character. Usually the main character is the person you care about the least. I can't say I care about the main character the most, but there's no characters I don't care about. There's no characters like I hate and want to go away.
Yep.
It's like they're all, even the annoying bad guy brothers who would
Kinkaku and Ginkaku.
Yeah, normally they would be super annoying. Like, oh my God, they're basically Starscream 1 and Starscream 2. Normally you're like, get the fuck out of here. But actually it's like, okay, they're kind of funny. They're not the worst.
I love how their sister is always like, oh, they're such pieces of shit. But then if anyone else calls them pieces of shit, she's like, hey, don't make fun of my brothers.
That's right.
But in terms of these non-human sensibilities, so like the gist of the show, like the core of it really is that this family is partly blood relatives and partly just friends of the family, like the old Tengu who threw his back out and can't really Tengu around so much anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And they face the same sort of nuanced and complex problems that real families do, except everything is sort of twisted with this weird, fantastic element. Like, the one brother is depressed, but the way that expresses itself is that he transformed into a frog to sit in the bottom of a well because he's depressed and can't face the world anymore, and yet he literally, like, forgets how to unshift from being a frog, and that is like a point of drama in the family. And the mom has like a deep phobia of thunder, and dad was murdered by these people who still live in the city and just hang out there. And there's kind of really complicated relationships with all the characters, way more complicated than anything in Dune.
Yeah, and like even though they have these sort of complicated relationships that are, it's like they just still like sort of hang out and talk to people.
Yeah.
Like, what's like there was an episode where there's Ben 10, who is the human who
a human who is abducted by a Tengu
and got Tengu powers,
and she's real dangerous,
and she's ridiculously powerful. And she seems like she's evil or not. Just like she's so mysterious. Like, what's her deal? You don't even know.
And they don't tell you explicitly. The show is all about this sort of like incidental storytelling.
Right, but then there's a part where like Yusaburo runs out of town for like a long period of time to run away from her because she's so mad at him, theoretically.
He's afraid she's going to just kill him and eat him.
And then when she finally catches him, it's just sort of like, nah. It's sort of like this really tense scenes. Like this, it's a tense episode.
Well, it's because
we're like, what's gonna happen here? I don't know.
These characters, like, it's a world. It's a fantastical world. So some of the characters, like the Tengu, even the old one, are real dangerous to be around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a moment where the Tengu goes on kind of a rampage later in season 1, and like, I feel like some of the people who were in those cars that were nearby might not have made it.
Maybe. But like they're just hanging out. Like there'll be
but
like 1 minute they'll like be getting drunk with this dude, and the next minute like they're running away from him because he's so dangerous.
So the problems and like the relationships are very much non-human and mystical, but at the same time they evoke all the feelings that real families have with the real family drama. Like, you've got your brother who's depressed, and you've got your other brother who's like running for office, but he kind of sucks at it, and he needs you to help him, but you don't want to because you're busy with your own stuff. And then the friend of the family, grandpa, who's in love with this woman who's actually really bad for him, and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's real family drama, but it's a bunch of Tanuki and Tengu, and the family drama is all Tanuki and Tengu drama.
The only thing that makes me uncomfortable in this show is the arranged wedding to the cousin. Which I guess if you're a Tanuki, you can get with your cousin, but they're in human form, and that's kind of gross.
I don't think that's so bad. So that is
cousin fucking not so bad, eh?
We'll
put Rim in the books. Put it in the books. Rim says cousin fucking not so bad.
Is arranged cousin marriages and things like that are not that uncommon even today around the world.
I'm saying that's not a good thing, even though it's true.
Also, there was like a SciShow recently that was talking about how actually the danger of cousin is way low.
Rim, I guess Rim has some hot cousins he's looking
But
Rim's
also,
the one who's in favor of cousin screwing, not Scott.
I point out a big part of that
Scott is
that
anti-cousin romance.
The eccentric family, the Shimogamo family that we're talking about, is like the known idiot branch of like the greater family and their related family, the Ebisugawa, they're like the more noble, like they have real jobs and things family. And there's sort of this weird fighting family rivalry. Like they're two important bloodlines that are tied in ancient times. And that was like an arranged marriage to combine them again. But then it broke up because the father was dead. And there's a whole bunch of plot around that too.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how the girl, what's her name? So the girl who was
The cousin.
who was pledged to be married to Yasaburo, won't let him see her.
Yeah.
He has never seen what she looks like. And there's some great scenes where like they're in a bathhouse, like on opposite sides, yelling at each other and fighting, but she won't let him see her at any point.
Mm-hmm.
But they're still friends. Like even the enemies are relatively friendly. Except there's a few points where there are some enemies who are not friendly, but that's sort of spoilery.
They can go from being friendly to like there's this huge range of interactions between different characters.
Cousin marriage are legal and considered totally normal in Japan. In quotes in the chat.
Great.
There we go.
Sure.
That's that.
Rim's moving to Japan to get with his Japanese cousins.
But yeah, I don't want to spoil anything because I mean, this is a review, right? You should just watch this show. It is one of the best anime to come out in recent
Not
years.
only is this show good enough to be worth watching, I won't put it as an A+ anime. I'll just put it as an A anime.
Yeah.
It's not a legendary all-time show, but not only is it so great, it's not animated like in a special way. It's just well animated. Like the arts and the character designs especially are so good. You know, between all the different forms the tanukis take and things like that, and people are wearing different clothes in different scenes. It's like they put effort into this thing, right? It doesn't have a lot. There aren't a lot of garbage animation mistakes and things.
But
the music is good.
Like all those scenes where like Ben 10 is dragging that one drunk guy around on the roofs.
Yeah,
like they're all just deeply Japanese and beautiful.
Right.
And if you've been to Kyoto, that is Kyoto, like 100%.
Yeah, everything is just taken from actual real
Emily
world
and I,
Kyoto.
we know like a lot of the places you see in the show, like we've been there.
Yep. But the number one reason to watch this show is simply that it's unique. There's no animes like this besides this one. Right?
Not that I can think of. Not that we're good.
Yeah, this is the only anime that is like this, and that alone makes it worth watching, even if it were bad. But guess what? It's good. So watch it.
And season 2 is on Crunchyroll, and season 1 was re-added to Crunchyroll, so you can just watch
season
it all.
1 was temporarily removed from Crunchyroll, but now it's back.
So one annoyance though, they changed the translation direction in season 2.
Oh, really?
So like in season 1, their dad, he had a title, the Niseimon.
Yep.
In season 2, they actually just translate that literally
To what?
to like tricksters. I forget already.
Oh.
But it's like there's a set of Japanese terms that are translated literally and a set that are translated that are not translated, and you just get like these Japanese words.
Philosophically, it should be translating to English, right?
Yeah, but in season 2, they
But you're just used to seeing Niseimon because they did a bad job in season 1.
Yeah, but
so
I'm
now
saying
you don't know what they're saying.
in season 2, some words that were translated are now not, and some words that were not translated are now translated.
Yeah.
And they stopped calling them the Friday Fellows and call them the Friday Club.
I think actually I remember
Friday Club seems closer.
Well, no, I remember hearing with my ear someone
Friday
who
Club, yeah.
the word clubu as someone was talking. So I don't know where the Friday Fellows part came from.
Yeah. I also really wonder what their deal is, because it seems like it's just a bunch of schlubby humans.
Yeah, it seems like
Except the one scary old guy.
Except for the scary old guy who seems to have some kind of power, it seems like it's just a human meetup group that's no different than like anything else on meetup.com. Like it's just some people who hang out, and making a hot pot once a year is just a thing they do, and they don't have any sort of
like when Yasaburo is sort of forced or /tricked into performing for them, and he does a bunch of transformations, and they don't seem to really understand that that's legit real magic.
No, well, then again, the old guy wasn't there at that time.
True.
The one guy who seems to know anything.
So
besides Venten.
The one thing I can say about that old guy is I noticed something. That old guy is the only person I have ever seen Ben 10 in any way respect.
Yep.
Which implies that he is way dangerous.
He definitely was the only character in the show, where you're like, whoa, that dude is actually evil bad guy.
Or at least, like, dangerous.
Yeah, like, watch out for him.
But, I keep saying subtle, but the show is super subtle in that it has a lot of really big funny moments and everything. It's just a great show all around, but so much of the story and so much of the nuance is just sort of like the show doesn't come out and tell you things.
No, everything in the show is completely unspoken. For
Yep.
anything that matters is like not said out loud. You know, it just you have to watch it to understand. And
The show
but it's not
trusts
like
you.
it's like easier to follow than like Utena.
Yeah.
But it's no one says
But
anything.
Utena is like allegorical and obtuse on purpose to make these meta points.
Right.
This show is just, it trusts you to be paying attention while you're watching it. Because if you pay attention, you can figure out a good chunk of Ben 10's backstory. You can figure out a lot about why the family's the way it is. And I just really like media that respect the audience to figure shit out on their own. And especially because the stuff you can figure out isn't super important. You can enjoy it even if you don't notice those things.
Knowing that it was originally novels, I would really like for the novels to be translated. A lot of stuff is always like light novels, and like I have no interest in those, but like actual novel, I want to read that.
So briefly, I will say that not only is the show great, but I've watched half of season 2. It is also great. It just keeps
I'm
being
sure
great.
it is. I've never watched any season 2 though.
Season 2 has a lot more serious, dangerous stuff. A lot of jikoku, like hell and oni, and
I love me some
demons
hell.
and all sorts of nonsense starts appearing.
Gotta call Doom Guy. Get rid of your hell problems.
Oh my god!
Some rockets.
All I'm gonna say, no spoilers here. A character ends up in hell,
Yeah.
and hell is great.
Of course it is.
Hell is like super great.
Of course.
I can't.
Kitaro's hanging out down there.
When you see the hell stuff, it is exactly what you, Scott, want it to be. It is so perfect.
Demons dancing and having a good time that are all freaky.
Yeah, but also like, no, seriously, this is hell. This is
Also,
not a good place.
real bad people getting set on fire because they were so bad they deserve it.
Yeah, but maybe not everyone there deserves it.
Also, Satan's a total badass who loves metal.
So I guess that's it. Like, we're gonna talk a few spoilers because I don't want to talk about some like the whole season, so you can come back after you've seen the show. So
I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say. What do you want to spoil?
all right, I won't spoil it.
I
then.
mean, we
All I'll
already
say is
spoiled
that
some stuff.
My favorite scene in season 1 is there's a trope that you've seen in some movies and TV shows, but you know the trope where there's a bunch of characters with a bunch of plots, and then they all end up in the same restaurant.
You mean like Snatch?
Yeah, like Snatch, where everyone just happens to be in the same place at the same time.
When the car accident happened.
And then everyone realizes what's going on and all hell breaks loose. That's kind of how season 1 ends. And the scene with a bunch of tanuki scattering is one of the funniest things I've seen in anime.
Well,
in
we
a
can
long
make
time.
all the hot pots we want.
Like that scene, I was laughing so hard during that scene. I guess it's kind of like how when you watch a lot of anime that aren't that great, you kind of forget what a great anime is like, and then you see a great anime again. Like when we were watching a bunch of crappy shows.
Yeah,
and
I'm just watching like generic Yo Pedal, which I'm not gonna stop watching.
Like it's
and
good, but it's not. great.
It's not something that's memorable. I'm watching because it has bikes in it.
But then you watch like a random episode of Ava, and you're like, oh shit, right? Anime.
Real anime exists. It's out there. It just doesn't come around too often.
Yeah. So if you're looking for some great anime to watch, you should watch Eccentric Family. It is so good.
My favorite scene part is the bathhouse. There's a whole episode.
yeah.
There's a whole episode in a bathhouse, and it's awesome.
There's so much going on in that one.
Almost most of the episode happens just in the bathhouse.
That iron underwear that they had.
And they keep the iron underwear going.
Yeah,
like
they
all
do.
this stuff keeps coming back,
Like,
right?
listen, you two pieces of
The
shit.
food-
Did you not realize the failure of your underwear plan the first time around?
The Fujin Raijin fan from the very beginning of the show comes back at
Yup.
the end of the show, right?
There's also this song that'll play in the back because it has a pretty good soundtrack. Like it's kind of nondescript.
Do 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 do. That one.
But no, there's the one that's kind of jazzy that whenever it starts, shenanigans are about to follow, and it's gonna be the Tanuki's fault. And that song, you start to recognize it because in season 2 they keep that up. Stuff will be serious, and then that song starts playing, and the next thing you know, Tanuki explosion, Tanuki everywhere. So yeah, watch the show, and don't let the drunk old Tengu drink all the port wine if the tea kettle that's letting your flying ship continue to fly also needs port wine to keep flying. That is like the moral of
Why
the show.
didn't they just bring more port wine?
They did, and he drunk it.
No.
Did you notice they had another box that was like behind a bunch of stuff, and there's a shot where you see that box is also all drunk.
Yeah, but I mean, they could have just brought yet another box and yet another box.
I think they brought twice as much as they needed.
3 times as much as you got to be safe.
I feel like that Tengu could literally drink.
Also, why is that guy hooked on port so much? Doesn't he like anything? Like, really?
Well, he also likes those really, really, really long cigars.
Well, I mean, if you're a Tengu, fine. It's not gonna hurt you, right?
Yeah.
If I was some sort of mystical being, I'd be doing all kinds of dangerous drugs and shit.
I also enjoy the sort of subtext that Yasaburo is definitely
like, look, if I see someone smoking and I say, man, that's gross, stop that shit, you're poisoning yourself to death, and say, actually, no, I'm magical and this doesn't hurt me at all, I would say, damn, I'm jealous. I would do that if I were you too.
But that cigar is like more than a foot long.
Listen.
If I saw someone who looked like him smoking a cigar that was a foot long, I'd be more impressed than angry. But I do also like this sort of really complex relationship, specifically between the main character, Yasaburo, and Benten. Because he's afraid of her.
She's dangerous.
He's also kind of in love with her.
Yep.
And he's also trying to, like, understand her. And those are 3 different threads going on in his character. And they don't resolve. They just continue to increase the tension that he has around her. And season 2 keeps that going in a big way. So yeah, watch the show. It's great. And I'm super hungry, so I think we're going to end the show right here. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. I ate this like whole bowl of peanuts and it wasn't enough. Yeah, it's slow. That means I have to open. I can't close it now. I have to repack it. That's the problem. All right. Wow. Definitely sweaty from the bike ride. All right, let's pull up the Patreon really quick. Oh, am I even logged in? Log in. Will the 2-factor be cached, or do I have to type all that in again? Damn it. All right. Let's do some 2-factor. Let's see for Patreon. What? Oh, were you transitioning just... Oh. I just typed it wrong because I'm dumb. Yeah. All right. Your pledges, Patreon manager. And the Patreon patrons for this episode of Geek Nights are... Alan Joyce, Heidi McNicola, Amanda Duchette, and Thomas Hahn. MyStady.com, William Eisenrose, Jeremy Miner, Life and Death and Love and Birth and Peace and War on the Planet Earth. A genuine bona fide electrified 6-car monorail. Nicholas Brandau, Captain Chinguakusi, Rebecca Dunn, The Terrible Secrets of Space, 421 Creations. Over there is because we have a red base here. Yeah, that's because Shervin Von Horrell, Rare Laval, James David White, Rochelle Montanona, Superboy, I paid $5 to make Grim Say Pickle, Sailor Vista, Matthew Smith, Don Schleich, Kachar Topshin, Joe Star, Sean Yeager, Sam Cordery, Clinton Walton, Ren from New Zealand, Ryan Perrin, and what's this layer of ozone? Brian Cedrone, Finn, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox, Daniel Redmond, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. Stay tuned also on the Patreon because we're going to have a bunch of Rimley reviews, and I got a bunch of Rims rants all around heuristics that are coming up real soon now that we're back from all this travel and all these cons. And now I leave you with... And we're done.